A true Stanley Park for all would include a bike lane. It would include options for mobility, not primarily focused on a motor vehicle.
Cyclists gathered at Stanley Park on Sunday to defend the temporary bike lane because on Monday, Vancouver's Park Board commissioners will vote, deciding the future for the bike lane. The Vancouver Park Board has presented 3 options in a report. Option A, removing the bike lane on the east side of the park and upgrading the bike lane on the west side. Option B includes a designated bike lane around all of Stanley Park. And option C removes most of the entire bike lane, and the 2 lanes will be shared between vehicles and cyclists. The advocates are hoping the vote on Monday will result in option B, a bike lane around the entire park and replacing traffic cones with a mountable separation design, allowing emergency and operation vehicles access.
I didn't feel comfortable riding on the streets to get to Stanley Park in the past.
Jamie Borisoff is a full-time wheelchair user, and he used his hand cycle to get to Stanley Park from his home in Kitsilano, where he's been living for over 30 years. Borisoff says he needs a designated bike lane to safely access the park, which will help people like himself with mobility restrictions.
The seawall, which is what the city and the Parks Board wants everybody to use in the future on their bikes, it's not accessible to vehicles like mine. The seawall is not accessible to hand cycles. There are barriers in place, there's gates in place that I can't maneuver through. I sit much lower than most adults on bicycles. I'm harder to see.
Lisa Slakov says she's confused as to why the park board would ever consider removing the bike lane as an option. She says cycling isn't just a recreational sport.
People who don't have enough money to own their own vehicle, or who, for climate change reasons and many other good reasons, prefer to not use a motor vehicle.
It's just an old-fashioned way of looking at Stanley Park with 2 lanes all the way around the park.
Vancouver Park Board Commissioner Tom Digby says having 2 lanes shared with vehicles and cyclists would be a step backwards.
Every major urban park in North America, they all have bike lanes inside their parks. And Vancouver is the only major urban park without one. So the option C and the 10% option is really just going backwards.
The Park Board report estimates option C, removing the temporary bike lane, will cost just over $300,000. But to keep the bike lane around the entire park in option B will cost just over $550,000.
We should take advantage of the road space we already have, reallocate some of it to bicycles, keep enough room for cars and buses, and everybody can be happy.
In Vancouver, Angela Bauer, City News.